What's up, everybody? It's been a while. I'm sorry. I've been meaning to record this video for a while, but February is just kind of a crazy month for me and my family. It's got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm finally getting to record this video that I promised I probably think a week ago. So anyway, let's get to it. So this is basically the draft picks that will fit the new defense from Hafley. These are the guys I've pulled up just like I said, that I feel would fit the new defense. I know it's not going to be too much different from previous defenses as far as the type of players the Packers pick, especially the edge rushers. Those would probably be pretty much the same, and some of the stuff would be similar, but it's a few differences here and there and stuff, especially with them going to the more middle closed defense and using the 4-3 even front most of the time, at least what we've been told. They'll use it most of the time. Yeah, so with that being said, let's get going with it. Okay, so and this is going to be mostly kind of early-ish mid-draft guys, not like undrafted free agents or any 6th or 7th round guys, but just some names to keep an eye on, some guys that kind of fit the Packers' new scheme and all that. So anyway, so with the edge rushers, we'll start with Chris Braswell from Alabama. I mentioned him a few times before. He fits the Packers style. He's a power rusher. He's got the long arms. He's got the size. He's like just under 260. He's like 257 at that Senior Bowl, I believe. So he's not too far off. Kingsley Enagbare was 258 at his combine. So that 1 pound difference is not going to make a difference for the Packers. So next guy would be actually a guy who went to the Senior Bowl. I was expecting to measure in smaller than he did. So I didn't think he was going to be the Packers board, but he measured in within the ranges. And he's a player I liked. It's Nelson Caesar from Houston. He measured in, I believe, it was 6'3", 260, something like that, with 33-inch arms. So he meets all the Packers thresholds, and he's a good pass rusher. I like. He's one of the guys I liked. Like I said, I hadn't really talked about him too much, just because I thought he was going to measure in smaller, and I figured he wasn't going to fit the Packers thresholds. But he is, so that's a good thing. He's a good pass rusher. He's more of a bendy kind of guy, but he fits because he's got the size at least. Another one, Brennan Jackson from Washington State. He's another big dude with long arms. He fits the Packers type. Cedric Johnson from Ole Miss, another guy. He's a little more raw than some of these guys. He needs more. He probably needs kind of like a quote unquote redshirt year to a little bit of development, because his pass rush needs a lot of work. But he's got the athleticism. He's got the upside to be a Packer. He's got long arms. He's got the size and all that. Another guy was the Senior Bowl. Actually, at the Senior Bowl, Marshawn Nealand from Western Michigan. He transferred in the summer, but he transferred back or something or other. But anyway, he's another big dude with long arms, fits the Packers style. He's pretty explosive. May not be like a super elite athlete tester as far as like 40 speed and his agility scores might just kind of average, but he should be able to test it within their ranges and stuff like that. And of course, his size. Another one, Braden McGregor from Michigan. Another guy that fits like their size, arm length, and all that stuff. But another more of a developmental guy. Sorry, like Cedric Johnson still needs some work on his pass rush moves and all that. So those are some guys, at least from the edge rushers group. Okay, so now we're going to move on to some defensive linemen. Like I said, it's going to be mostly at least a 4-3 even front. Which means there's not really a big need for a nose tackle, but of course the Packers already have 2 guys who can play nose tackle with Slayton, and of course Kenny Clark can both play nose tackle. So I don't see any reason why they would draft a nose tackle, at least a true nose tackle in the draft. Plus, it's not really their thing to draft like nose tackles. It's not really been a Packers thing. But when you play more 4-3 up, and you don't really need the nose tackle so much anyway. So that being said, some guys that I like that would fit the Packers' new defense, new coordinator, his new style, attacking style. Rukoro from Clemson. These guys I've liked him since seems like 2021. He came in for some injury. They had some injuries on the defense line because he wasn't supposed to play much because he was still somewhat raw as a player. And he ended up starting a bunch of games in 2021 because of some injuries to the other guys like Tyler Davis and what's his name that moved on to the NFL. I can't think of his name at the moment, but he's played a lot actually in college, even though he's still kind of a raw guy. He still needs work, and he still needs to learn and develop some more. But he fits the Packers style, like I said. Got the long arms. He's got some pass rushing and defend and run. He's not a nose tackle though, although Clemson uses him there sometimes. Another guy like Dwayne Carter from Duke. He actually also measured in a little bit longer than I thought, a little bit bigger than I thought. Duke listed him at 6'3", something like that, 308, something like that. And he measured about 6'3", 308 or whatever. I thought he was going to be measuring like 6'1", because he's got kind of that squatty body. So I thought he'd measure out like 6'1" or something like that, but he was just under 6'3", so that he fits. And plus, actually got the arm length. I thought his arms might be measured a little bit shorter, but he's got long arms, so that's good too. So he fits there too. Another guy would be Jaden Crumedy from Mississippi State. Still more of a nose tackle, sorry. More of a run stopper. Still slightly developing as a pass rusher. May never be great as a pass rusher, but still kind of developing there. But his strength obviously is defending the run, but he's not like a true big nose tackle, 350 pounds, a guy who can't really move. Another one's kind of similar player, Keith Randolph from Illinois. Another guy who is still developing his pass rush skills. But he's been a good run defender. He's shown flashes here and there. He can get in the backfield and get tackles for a loss and stuff like that. But he's another athletic guy who fits what the Packers like with their defensive linemen. And like I said, he's still developing as a pass rusher. He's got the power moves. He can bull rush. He's just got to develop some more moves. Another guy, Leonard Taylor from Miami. He is still kind of a lottery ticket, basically. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, but he never really developed. He developed a little bit. Sorry, I should rephrase that. He developed some, but he didn't make the big jump that was expected as this 5-star guy. He didn't make the contributions that people thought he would do. The splash plays, the tackles, the sacks, tackles for loss, and all that stuff. You still see flashes on film. Of course, the talent's there. Can it be developed? Will he work at it? There's been some people who talked about like they don't feel he has a work ethic. He doesn't work very hard. He doesn't play very hard sometimes. So that's something that would need to be looked at, especially by the Packers. They don't generally like the guys who don't work hard, but we'll see. Maybe it's just the scheme or something, or maybe he has some minor injury that he was playing with. We'll see with that. But at least athletically and upside and stuff like that, he fits what the Packers like. He's already kind of a decent run stuffer. It's just the pass rush hasn't really developed. And then, of course, Mike Kawano's favorite guy, Chris Jenkins from Michigan. Another guy that fits about 6'3". In the spring, he was 6'3", or just under 6'3", sorry. Just under 6'3" and 292 in the spring. Michigan listed him at 305, maybe put on a few pounds between spring and the season. We'll see. He hasn't measured in for the combine as of yet, of course, and he didn't measure in at the Senior Bowl, so we don't know yet. We will see with that. But obviously, he is already a really good run defender. Still developing, of course, as a pass rusher, so has some upside with that. But already, when you get him, you're getting a guy who's going to defend the run well. He's going to play hard. He'll even get some tackles for loss and stuff like that. It's just the pass rush game that's coming along that's still developing. But he's already a good run defender, and I think that he would fit the Packers. All right, so moving on to off-ball linebackers. Again, with this new 4-3, although there's a lot of similarities, but some differences, of course. With the NFL, your off-ball linebackers nowadays in a 3-4 versus 4-3, there's not too many big differences, but it's still some, of course. When you're in base down in a 4-3, you got 3 linebackers on the field. When you're base down at 3-4, you have 2 linebackers on the field, two true off-ball linebackers or whatever. But of course, as we all know, it's a sub package nickel NFL package. Your nickel slot DB, whatever you want to call him, is playing 7% of snaps. But even still, those 2 off-ball linebackers their alignments and their gaps and all that stuff is a little bit different with the 4-3 and 3-4. But even still, we don't know exactly yet what they're going to do with Walker, if they're going to play an inside middle linebacker, if they're going to play a weak side, and then who's going to play the strong side linebacker spot, which obviously not really super important because that person doesn't play a lot. But even with that being said, and Campbell possibly being cut, I think there's a good chance he gets cut. Who's going to be the starter? I wouldn't trust McDuffie. I wouldn't trust him taking on those linemen and getting off blocks and stuff like that, because he's a small guy with short arms. So I feel he's best fit as a backup. So some guys that still fit that what the Packers would like. Cedric Gray from UNC, long athletic dude, 6'3", 235, I think he was, 234, something like that. At the Senior Bowl, he's got long arms, like I said, athletic. He's really got really good cover skills for a linebacker. He would fit with Green Bay. He would probably play on the weak side, but he probably could play inside linebacker too. It just depends. But he's an athletic guy who can move and run and all that stuff. So that's probably why I think he'd probably play on the weak side. Another guy, Tyrese Knight from UTEP. Yes, I know UTEP, small school. Relatively small school. But he's really good linebacker. He's athletic. He's explosive. He can get from sideline to sideline. He makes some pretty crazy plays. He's explosive. He would probably play more of the middle linebacker spot. But as far as weigh-ins and everything, size and athleticism, yeah, he fits with the Packers, what they would do. And he would be more likely middle linebacker because I think he was 6'1", something like that at the Senior Bowl. Another guy at Senior Bowl, Marist Liufau. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but Notre Dame, another good-sized guy with actually 34-inch arms, which is really long for a linebacker, especially for a guy who's not really huge like he was. I believe he was like 6'3", 6'2", something like that. So he's not really a huge dude, but he's got really long arms. He could fit with what the Packers do as far as his size, at least. I think he would probably play strong side, but he could probably play any other spots as well. He probably could play weak side or some other spots as well. But he would fit with the Packers. Another guy, Trevin Wallace from Kentucky. He was at the Senior Bowl. He fits, of course, with what the Packers like. He would probably be more of a middle linebacker because he's more of a physical presence, tackler, run stuffer, that type of thing. Another guy actually I think would fit really well that Hafley would really like is Nathaniel Watson from Mississippi State. So he was a guy I kind of liked before, but was kind of, we'll see. Maybe he fits, Barry's defense or whatever. But once they hired Hafley, Watson immediately jumped further up in my board for the Packers because he's a big dude. He's a thumper. He's like 6'2", 240, something like that, 245. But he's actually a really good blitzer for linebacker. And if Hafley likes to blitz and he likes to be aggressive and he likes to feign blitzes and this and that and get aggressive, he is that type of guy. He is that type of linebacker. His cover skills are kind of okay. Not terrible, but he can cover some. But I think he's a middle linebacker though, for sure. But he's a guy that would fit too. Another guy that fits, of course, one of my guys that I've been liked for a long time, Junior Colston from Michigan, another athletic dude, super athletic. He's still developing his pass coverage, but he, like I said, he can defend and run, he can tackle. He would be a middle linebacker, of course. He could blitz a little bit, but he would fit the new scheme too. Another guy that would fit probably maybe early day 3, still kind of a developmental guy, but Curtis Jacobs from Penn State is really athletic, but just hasn't really gotten there yet as far as development wise. He'd probably be a middle linebacker. I think he could play out weak side, but I think he'd probably be a middle linebacker in Green Bay. But he's another guy that fits, developmental guy, but he fits. Jalen Ford from Texas fits as well. He definitely would be a weak side linebacker because he's one of his strengths is his cover skills. He has improved with his defending the run and tackling and hitting and stuff like that type of stuff. But his big strength is his ability, his athleticism, his ability to drop in coverage and stuff like that. So he'd probably be a better fit at a weak side. A couple more guys that people have talked about, known about. Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M. So he's still kind of a development guy that doesn't get talked about as much. He's still not there yet. He's probably linebacker 1, linebacker 2, something like that in this draft. But his athleticism and upside is up there. It's really high, right? One of the most highest potentials upside in this class of the linebackers. But he's not there yet. He would probably still play inside linebacker or middle linebacker, whatever you want to call it. But he's still a development guy, so I don't expect him to come in and probably wouldn't start as a rookie. Probably play a lot, maybe start some games if there's injuries or what have you. Or maybe at the end of the season, if he shows development, maybe they throw him in there as a starter. But he still needs some development from his eyes, reading plays and stuff like that, hitting the right gap and all that. But like I said, the upside is there. The other guy, Tyron Hopper from Missouri, also another fit. Middle linebacker, 6'2", 232, I believe it was at the Combine, or Senior Bowl, but he's another guy fit. He's an inside linebacker, almost kind of the opposite of Cooper. Not that he's a bad athlete, but he's more of a high floor guy. What you're going to get with him. He's going to be solid. He's going to be solid at everything, but not great at anything. He'll make the calls. He just goes out there and does his job basically. Um, Another guy, I'm always bad at pronouncing his name, Edufan Ufoshio. Sorry, from Washington. He's a former walk-on, which is kind of interesting. 6-year guy, so he's a little older, but he's all experienced. Another guy that we'll see how he tests. That's going to be the big thing, whether he is on the Packers board or not. But he's a middle linebacker for sure, through and through. Good run defense, skills and tackling and that stuff. Coverage is kind of is okay. He might be a guy that you pull off the field on third downs. We'll see. But yeah, mainly the testing is the only thing I'm not sure about, whether he would fit with Green Bay. But as far as now, he fits. Okay, so moving on to corners. Okay, this is going to be kind of interesting. Well, I shouldn't say interesting, but since they'll be playing more cover one, more man compared to previous years, they're going to look for more man cover corners and more physical guys, more aggressive guys, stuff like that. And he also said, because I'm talking about, Goody said that sometimes it's the safety and the slot corner are going to be interchangeable. So that's going to be something interesting to watch for. But on with it. So some first few guys, obviously some early guys in the first round we're going to see. Kool McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, sorry. Arnold's got the higher upside. McKinstry's more ready now. As far as his polish, I should say. He's more polished right now in his skills, but Arnold's got the bigger upside. Of course, people talked about this guy, Quinion Mitchell from Toledo. He had a really good senior bowl. He showed he can play press, he can play man after playing mostly off coverage at Toledo. So he's another guy that would fit. Of those three, I think Arnold could play slot if he needs to, or if they want him to. McKinstry, I don't think he can play slot. Quinion Mitchell, maybe. We'll see. I think he's still more of an outside guy. Another one, Nate Wiggins, if he can get his weight up, that's going to be the only caveat here with Wiggins. He was listed at 185 at Clemson. The Packers like their guys 190 plus, and Wiggins was listed at 6'2". So if he comes in around that height, I think the Packers will want him like closer to 195. But of course, we'll see with that. But he fits for sure. He's really fast, explosive. I've seen him run the dude down 50 yards down the field to prevent a touchdown. So he's explosive, he's fast, and he's a willing tackler. He's a willing run defender. He still needs some work and stuff, of course. He's a junior. I believe he was a 2-year starter, but he still needs some work, of course. Another one, TJ Tampa, big dude from Iowa State, 6'2", 210, I believe. Just a physical dude. He fits for sure in that man cover scheme. Sorry. So he's in the fit. Enos Rakestraw from Missouri, he's a fit. He can play slot or outside. Another physical dude, tackler, can do man cover skills. He's a good athlete, so he's a fit there. Quincy Riley from Louisville, super athletic dude, transferred over there this past year. But he's still not quite there yet. He was started at a smaller school. I can't think of it right now. I want to say maybe Georgia State or Georgia Southern, something like that. One of those Conference USA schools. Yeah, he's a really athletic. He's fast. So we'll see with that. He's a guy I wouldn't throw out there day one as a starter at your outside corner spot. He's probably purely outside corner. Another guy I really like, though, Max Melton, obviously Bo's brother. He can play inside or outside. He's physical. He's a hitter. He's a tackler. He's got those man cover skills. He's fast like his brother. Maybe not. He's probably a tick or two faster, but he's still a pretty fast guy. Ronaldo Green from Florida State, another guy who fits. He can play inside or outside. He fits their man cover skills. Andrew Phillips from Kentucky, somewhat similar to Valentine, who was at Kentucky last year. Long, fast dude, physical dude, man cover skills, that type of stuff. Somewhat similar, not exactly the same, obviously, but similar dude. Probably not as purely fast, but still, similar type skill set. Finally, Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, another tall guy, listed at 6'3", 190, I think 195 or 200, something like that, by Oregon. He's still another guy that's kind of raw. He was a transfer from Alabama. He was a 1-year starter at Oregon. but he's a pure outside guy. But of course, he's another. Like I said, he's still somewhat raw because he's only a 1-year starter, so he still needs some time. I wouldn't put him out there as a day 1 starting outside, of course. And he's probably like a late day 2, early day 3 pick. Okay, so moving on to safeties now. Before, the Packers didn't differentiate really much between their 2 safeties. I don't think they're different too much now, but we might see some minor differences just because, you got the middle field close where you got that box safety coming down and you got your free safety roaming over the top. So we might see some differences. We'll see. That's something I'm just interested to see, like I said, when the draft comes, to see if they do that, because there were some guys that I had more or less off Green Bay's board because they were box safeties, but now I have them as a potential on their board, like in pencil, basically. They're not in a marker or anything like that, or pen. But actually, first I'll start with the guys who would be free safeties in there, and over the top in the Packers new defense. So Cooper DeJean, of course, from Iowa. Unless you're running with some sort of cover 3, he's going to be a safety NFL safety / slot. I think I've even said before, he could probably play some nickel linebacker. He did that a bit in college, actually. One season they had some injuries in the game, and he came in and he actually looked pretty good. Obviously, I wouldn't play him at linebacker. He's 210, but he can do it. Like a nickel package and stuff like that. But he's fast enough. His agility scores might not be great, but he's got the straight line speed, and he could probably do it. Cameron Kinchins from Miami is probably my favorite fit for the Packers to play that over the top role. That's just what he did at Miami, and when he was doing that, that's when he did his best, and he ranged from side to sideline, picking off passes out of nowhere and stuff like that. And he's got it all. He can hit, he can tackle. I won't bore you guys with saying the stuff same over and over again, but again, like I say, he's one of my favorite guys in the draft for the Packers. Tyler Nubin from Minnesota, again, another kind of rangy free safety type guy. Although he's not as athletic as Kitchens, although Kitchens is not like a super athletic guy, or elite athletic, I should say. But Nubin's still similar skill set, but he's a bigger dude. He's like 6'2", 210. But similar skill set, like I said, he would fit in that rangy free safety over the top role. Another guy I kind of like, he's kind of a day 3 guy, kind of a sleeper to me, but Daijin Anthony from Ole Miss. He can do that role, but he can also play slot. He can move him around, do different things, but he can play that cover 1 rover over the top role, what do you want to call it? Actually, one guy I got that I think could play either spot. I think if you want to put him at his best spot, it would be at that strong safety, box safety role, whatever. But Bo Braid from Maryland. I know some people don't like the Maryland safeties, but he's not savage. He's a completely different dude. He's like 5'11", 210, but he's physical. He's a hard hitter. He's an aggressive run defender. He's explosive, all that stuff. But he can also play over the top. He can play some cover 1 free safety type roles. So he can do both, really. So it's pretty versatile. But I think if you want to put him at his best, you probably play him more in the box more, and a little bit less in the back end. But he can do both, like I said. Okay, so moving on to guys who would be more box safeties. Some of these guys I think would have fit Green Bay regardless. Actually, I'll go over those guys first. Okay, so the guys I think would have fit Green Bay regardless. Keaton Adoldapo from Oregon State. He was a guy who really developed a lot with his cover skills this past couple years, to say. A couple years, 3 years ago, when he first became a starter, his cover skills were not there close. If he had came out of the draft, then I would not have had him on the Packers board because his cover skills were just not good enough. But over the last 2 years, especially this past year, he really developed a lot with his cover skills, and he looks really comfortable in coverage now. And he's a guy that he could do both. He could range over the top sometimes, and he can play in the box. Again, like I said, I play him more in the box, but he can play over the top as well. Another guy, Lathan Ransom from Ohio State. He's again similar. He's another guy who's kind of can do a little bit of both. He's not elite in anything, but he's solid all around. I would probably play him more in the box though. But he's a guy that would fit there. He's got the size. We could see with the testing though. That's the one thing I have a question about him is the testing. We'll see with that. Another guy, Trey Taylor from Air Force. He's another guy that played probably more of a box guy, but he's still kind of a developmental guy. He probably needs some work just because that defense wasn't super. They didn't have him playing in like NFL roles or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they play in like almost like an overhang defender and stuff like that. But he's got the athleticism and skills to do it. Another guy I like for that role, actually, Evan Williams from Oregon. He's another guy that's kind of, like I said, a guy that can do both. He can be the free safety or he can be a strong safety. He's kind of just like, I think I've talked about before. He's just a do-it-all guy. Not great or elite at anything, but he's solid at everything. He's okay at everything. If he's your starter, you could do a lot worse than Evan Williams. He'll go out there and line up, make sure he's lined up right. He's kind of similar to okay, so like I was saying, sorry about the stop there, but he's somewhat similar to Adrian Amos. That's what I was trying to think of. So Evan Williams somewhat similar to Adrian Amos. He's a guy who go out there, he's solid, do his job. Not gonna make a lot of big splash plays, but he's that kind of solid all around safety, like I said. So a couple of the guys that probably weren't fits before, but maybe right now. Sione Vaki from Utah. He was a box safety. He's athletic due to explosive, but he's not super quick. But he's kind of a box safety. Almost, yeah. So before I had him really way down there where they probably wouldn't even pick him. But now it's new defense, maybe. But again, he's a true sophomore. He's only played 2 years. He was a 1-year starter, I believe. The reason he was able to come out was because he did his 2-year Mormon mission. So he is like, I think 21, 22, right around there, even though he played 2 years of college football. Another guy, Patrick McMorris from Cal, originally from San Diego. Originally he started at San Diego State. He didn't play that well after he transferred from San Diego State. I think it must have been something with that defense. I'm not sure. He wasn't really a good fit in it. But he's more of a box safety as well. But he would fit. He would fit with this new defenses for sure. He can cover a little bit too. He's not terrible in coverage or anything like that. He's not a guy you got to take off the field or anything like that. But he can cover too, as well. And so he would fit. He's probably day 3 guy though. Another guy that I think I pretty much had off Green Bay's board until this new switch, Jaden Hicks from Washington State. A lot of people like him. He's this big 6'3", 215-pound dude. He's a true box safety. I would not put him at free safety. I would not have him in the cover 1 role at least. If you have him in like a cover 2 split field safety type thing, he could probably do it. But in a cover 1 where he's over the top, that's not him. That's not what he's going to do. I wouldn't do that with him at all. But he can definitely play the box. And he's a guy who maybe I'm on their board. We'll see. I'm still not sure about it. I think Goody still kind of follows his tried and true the ways he learned under Wolf and Ted Thompson. So he might not be on the board, like I said. But we'll see with that. All right. So I'll try to be more consistent with my videos. Sorry, like I said, I've been really busy. In February, we have a lot going on with my family, personal stuff, and then, the draft and trying to get everything ready for the draft guide for Cheesehead TV, do my write-ups and all that type of stuff. Just been really busy. But one announcement, though, for those of you watching. First time I'll be announcing this is that I will be starting a new podcast with a partner. So I will be doing it with, if you guys know Joseph Randolph from Cheesehead TV. Me and him will be starting a podcast for Cheesehead TV, a draft podcast where we talk about the Packers and we'll break down each position for the Packers and players, at those positions, the quarterbacks, running backs, so on and so forth. That will come out once a week, and we will be recording soon. So I will, obviously put an announcement on Twitter as well. But yeah, up until the draft, actually until the week after the draft as well, when we'll do a draft review. But that will be posted on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel, and it'll run about 45 minutes to an hour. And so just be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I'll make some sort of announcement on YouTube, on Twitter about when it's going to come out, and of course I'll retweet all the videos out and stuff like that. So make sure you guys watch the video, like all that type of stuff, subscribe, and of course check out those podcasts I do with Joseph for Cheesehead TV on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel. When those come out, probably starting next week. The person should about next week. All right, so thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys later.